Actually talking about the Nevers now?
Yeah, so welcome to the Nevers podcast with the Nevers watch along with Jason and I. Here we are.
What up?
We're gonna watch episode 4, which neither of us have watched for a while, so this is gonna
Yeah.
be interesting. So we left off, I should say, I guess we left off episode 3 ended with the
Yes.
somewhat slaughter of Mary.
hmm
Um
It's yeah, well, like I said, it's we I often talk about structure when we're talking about things. Episode 3, right in the middle of the first 6, midpoint. In this case, it looks it's a we'll call it a false defeat. They've experienced something very, very bad, but it's going to push them in action to be more proactive in their goal of getting to the Glanthy and figuring all that stuff out. So it's really nice. So the first 6 have a nice structural setup. Then they took the break at episode 6 because of COVID and everything. But it was a natural point to stop. Like it's not like it was like just a huge cliffhanger. A bunch of questions from earlier were answered. So
let's jump back into episode 4 to finish our part 1 watch along. And yeah, so I'll do it. I realized last time I said we'll go on 3, 2, 1, go, and then I actually said 3, 2, 1, play. So
well, okay, now you're
I
confusing me.
mean, yeah, I know. Whether I say go or play, that's what we go on. But after the 3, 2, 1, that's what we do. Right. So are we
Then we're
ready
gonna
on the
start.
button?
Yep, and we're gonna start on
Yeah,
the HBO splash screen, right?
yeah, right from that very beginning. So if we're ready, we're going 3, 2, 1, play.
HBO. Yeah, it's a pretty dour opening.
I am surprised. I wasn't sure if it was just my brightness that's really high, that
Mm-hmm.
how well lit the scene is, because a lot of productions would just be like, let's put the lighting really low for like a funeral scene. Do
Right.
you know what I mean? Make it really
Mm-hmm.
dark.
Yeah. The yeah, it's yeah, just kind of middle. I want to say like middle of the afternoon, cloudy day. But yeah, it looks like they kind of didn't do much in the not much in the processing department to alter the image.
It's quite nice because you get to see everyone. I feel like the go-to now is to just make everything dark, and you just lose a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like bad things, terrible things and horrible things and scary things don't always happen in the dark, right? You know. So, and I like how they're juxtaposing the funeral with the labor strife here. Oh, match cut, wheel to wheel. Is that a the handkerchief he dropped to signal the start of their strike action? Was that a purple or a red? I couldn't tell.
Is it like a very deep burgundy,
Okay.
purpley? I would say more, yeah, like more towards the
Mhm.
purple.
Yeah, I do think it's meant to kind of make us think about the purple armband guys, like just with the color tonality of it. But there's the purple again that we still haven't figured out the kind of the meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Remember, we talked about 3 keeps coming up and purple keeps coming up, and maybe I'll write about that. I haven't done an article in a while because I haven't been feeling very inspired because of no new stuff. Um, But yeah, maybe talking about the use of purple in there and what it might mean. Because I haven't seen anyone talking about it online. I could have stand to see Monday do a little fisticuffs, but okay. So something happens here that this keeps confusing me with the show because they kind of jump ahead a little bit every now and again. It took me a long time to figure out that what she like. Obviously, she's drowning her sorrows, but she's also working at the same time because she gets information from this fiddler guy that they
Yeah.
use later. But I didn't make that connection at for a couple views.
Yeah, just another thing about this show, how not obvious they are.
Hmm.
Like everything, you think, oh, you're just watching it, but actually everything that's happened has got a purpose and it's
Yeah,
there. And yeah, when you do watch it later, you're like, oh, that is that bit.
I very much like that. She's like, "Oh, pint for a kiss." Okay.
I'm a lady of my word.
Yeah. Oh my God, Laura Donnelly's so good. Like she's so good in this role.
Again with the slap to the face, and again
Yeah,
with the great costume. That dress with the
yeah,
button down all the way. Yeah.
yeah. It's like the color. I like the color used too. It's kind of like a green and red,
Mm.
or like in the deeper spectrum of red. But yeah, and yeah. Because remember our last episode? It was once again it was Stephanie who was asking about this. How does this fit in? What's with the rocks in the factory and whatnot? And like it's all a trap to try to get True and company, I guess, captured. I mean, not this part. Like this is just to signify the labor shortage and to reinforce the view on employee versus the employed. A discussion
Yeah.
we had way back in the pilot. And yeah, he's like just the manipulation he uses here on them. They're like, oh, the people at the front need it, so get back to work and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, but people get blown up and maimed in your like we haven't seen it, but people get blown up and maimed in your factory.
But I feel like what he just did there with the throwing it and
Hmm.
saying like, he's showing his knowledge of these things as well, which I guess is to
Yeah,
represent that he has fought on the front
yeah,
lines, or he's got his military background.
yeah. Because we've only hinted at is yeah. Because when she's like, he used to be in the military, but they've never talked about it beyond that.
Yeah, it was just that in the first episode, wasn't it? They had the
Yeah,
little
they're
recognition of them both being soldiers type thing. That
yeah.
little. But again, this is nice because it's not
Mm,
just, oh, here's some boxes of stuff that we're going to come back to later. This
yeah,
scene obviously adds to it, so it's not just here's a thing we're going to use later.
yeah.
We've made a
Exactly.
we've made a scene out of it for you with a little bit of drama
Well,
to show
exactly.
how.
I do think that once again, because we've talked about how this show is also kind of a reflection of kind of current day issues and whatnot, and strike breaking is very topical.
Yes, I was gonna say strikes are everywhere here at the minute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I work for Royal Mail, and we're all it's all strike, strike, strike at the minute.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. I mean, look at it. Collective bargaining and the power of the many is important and you need to maintain that because if you let it slide, then you lose benefits, you lose wages, you lose dignity.
At the moment, I think with most of the companies in England that are striking, it's like when you see how much the people up top are making, how much the company's making, but
Yeah,
then the people on the ground that are essentially running the business, because it
yeah.
is the foot soldiers that are running it, don't get any of that.
Well,
You think,
exactly. It's like
yeah,
there's no money to pay you guys more. Nope. Sorry. We got to make sure our leeches, I mean shareholders, get their the I do like this little conversation with Harriet because it kind of reminds us of that, once again, I can't obviously can't speak for women's rights, but it is a nice contrast that Harriet has less privilege than Penance does,
yeah,
just by nature of the color of her skin. And I like Bonfire Annie, especially because she's got she puts up this front, but then when True walks in, she's like up out of
yeah.
the seat. Did she say did she just say what their name was that they called the armband people are calling themselves?
Think so.
Okay, yeah, it's Penance who walked in. She's like, "Oop, oop, oop." Seriously, that is a very smart uh, wardrobe for True. Walks in, pours herself a drink because she hasn't even she's got her walk of shame dress on from the same as last night. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this whole conversation, this is where I was confused because this is what she learned from the violinist guy, but it all happens off screen.
Yeah.
And it's a bit jarring to me because the show is very good at show, not tell. Oh, pay attention. Oh, there's that pinkish, we're talking about color again. You see his fucking wallpaper or paint, kind of that pinkish, purplish red. Anyway, well, like I was saying, so this was always jarring to me because it's very rarely does a show jump ahead and just tell us something versus showing us something.
Yeah.
So she
I think that
so she
is
fed it. Yeah,
it's one of those
sorry.
rare times that they're actually
Yeah,
just giving us a little
yeah,
information dump.
yeah. There's like two or three. It's just but it is jarring when they do it just because of it's not out of character, but out of routine,
Necessity.
out of yeah.
I feel
But I
like
mean, I
because
get.
they're a lot happens in this episode.
Mhm.
So it's like
Yeah, exactly. Um,
I like how
and
this
yeah,
is like the reverse of the staircase that we had in the last episode.
right.
It's like the staircase is the place to get it all out in the open.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, for those who are just starting, getting into the series, here's just more evidence that True isn't where she comes from isn't here.
And I feel like my confusion of keep thinking that Penance doesn't know about Amalia until like right before the events of the last episode.
Hmm.
But you're like, no, it goes back and it shows you that she's known before all of this.
Yeah,
Yeah, which makes sense now on rewatching it because I'm like, yeah, because otherwise she would have so many questions with the conversation she's
yeah,
having, right? She would be like, hang on a minute, what did you just say?
yeah.
Whereas
Because
she's
the,
so
the only
like
yeah the only
natural
people
about it all.
the only people who truly know would be Penance and Dr. Cousins
Yeah.
because because we'll say they're combined intimate relationships in that you can have intimacy without physicality given the Penance relationship with True. And yeah, here yeah, I love this one. Myrtle can draw out her
Mm.
stuff.
it's crazy how her power essentially gives her the ability to communicate with absolutely everybody she would meet ever in the universe. However, because she can't actively control it, she
Yeah.
can't
Mhm.
effectively communicate with anybody.
Well, that's why I think. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because, as you said, she has an ability, but she can't control it. And I think they can all control their abilities, but they don't know it and don't know how. Because when she's fighting Lucy, there's a scene. Lucy
Yes.
has her glove off, and she grabs a crate, and it doesn't explode, like it doesn't shatter.
Yeah.
And I think this is just one of those little things that I go, we're going to hint at something down the road. And so that's why with a show like this, you kind of got to pay attention to everything because it's just so loaded with stuff. And this is good too because here's a chance for the other characters to shine. It's not
Yeah.
just the it's not just the main characters figuring everything out. It's like, okay, here's the problem, Harriet. They figured out bits and pieces. It is Harriet, right? The the
Primrose and Myrtle.
Primrose Myrtle, and was it Harriet,
And then
the one who
Harriet in
can?
the back there, yeah, who
Okay,
just come in.
yeah,
So they start working together, don't they, to get
yeah,
okay,
and they
okay.
okay.
Sorry. Right. So from the get go, I was looking at this lady like she looks familiar. She
Hmm.
looks and odd to me, like not right. And I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm sitting there. And after she started talking, I went. I remember I said to Sean, I was like, "That's the actress that plays Melody." I genuinely was like
Okay.
this. I was like, so I went straight onto IMDb, looking as soon as they say her name, and I'm like on there looking like who's credited for that
Mm-hmm.
character. And yeah, I was right. I was so psyched. I was like, because
I
Sean didn't notice.
Yeah, that's a good eye because I didn't catch it, and at the end I'm like, oh, I see.
Because
But
I'm
she
very.
gives but
Oh, she's doing
but she
great.
gives yeah, but she gives like little things she gives away that once again I just wasn't on my game when I was watching it the first time. But yeah, good eye, Laura.
When I watch things, I am very like, who is that person? They look familiar, and then I'm straight onto IMDb trying to
Hmm.
find out what they've been in, and it's like they've been in one episode of Supernatural 17 years ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize them.
Right. Yeah, this is because we finally get this is the best part. 'Cause we get to see Monday be intimidating without ever actually having to beat anyone up. I really
Yeah.
like that. Like, huh, what?
And they're like,
That's
what?
a-
What?
I feel like these two were styled after Laurel and Hardy. Like just it's just a little bit in their size difference, not just
Yeah.
girth but height, but also their wardrobe. It just feels like that to me. Oh, Swan, and there's Lucy. Because we still
Nosy
don't, and this is
Lucy.
great. We still don't know she's spying. Because the
No.
way it looks, she's just like depressed and down and okay. So in the last scene with the two thugs, and they had the card from Swan. I was talking over it. Did they didn't say he sent them? Did he? Did they?
No.
No.
No, I don't think so. Because we find out that the card is indeed not from Swan, don't we?
Yeah, probably. Once again, I said I'm not at because I spent so much time on the early stuff. The middle stuff I'm a bit more foggy on.
If I remember correctly, he sees Swan again, and he's like, "No, that's
Yeah,
not from me." And I
yeah,
think it
yes.
turns
He
out it's
goes.
Masson.
Yeah, he
Is it
goes to
Masson?
yeah, he goes to his little club there, or he goes to the bar, and he's like, "Tell me." Were
How
you
does
looking
she
for?
know?
I say
She
they played
says,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
they played it well because Prue's reaction was such a non-reaction that she didn't really give it away. Because that's what I was looking for. I'm like, because I never paid attention to it before. Like when I was watching, it, I'll tell you, look,
But yeah,
but
I'm
yeah,
not.
she, but
You just see her eyes go in the
yeah, just
how do you know that she'd put your
mhm,
trophy on the wall? Because she's just seen his office.
yeah.
She probably would though.
Yeah, the I'm curious to see what the second half of the season gives us because they've definitely danced around what Masson and Crew's plan is without really giving us it. Masson and Crew is very similar to Lavinia. There's not enough to know what their end game is. Like, yeah, we know we did this, that they did this thing, you know, they set up the offing Mary, but what's the end goal? Because if it was to shatter hope, the end result wasn't what they expected because then Bonfire Amy brought a whole bunch more people to the orphanage. So now there's more of them banded together rather than less of them. They didn't fracture.
Hmm.
I love her.
Keeping my chins up.
A bunch of rich assholes.
I was just gonna say cheese, chess. How the other half live?
100 Gambit. Oh, okay. This is not what I thought it was. I didn't realize that Monday broke into the to the high end club.
I knew it was in a room,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I do.
I thought it was a little bar later on. Okay, that might.
Oh,
The purists. That's what they call themselves. The pink, the purple armband guys. Yeah. I do like Swan's manner. Yeah, so this I get because we know that Masson wants Swan out of the way or less of a factor or whatnot. I think you know she will. there it is. It's keep pushing the rich or terrible message. Yeah, so nice little exposition scene to kind of bring us up to speed on a few things, figure things out. But yeah, I do like what he said. It's like, yeah, you when Swan's like, yeah, they treated you like a gun. They gave you a target and pulled your trigger.
Birds.
Yeah. Oh, at least we get to see these two get back on the same page again after the little misunderstanding. It's like, no, you're totally welcome here. Did anyone see you? I do like that, as we'll find it, I guess next episode. Like I like they set him up as the awkward, nervous guy, but they're not dragging it out. By episode 5, he makes a stand on his moral ground, make a decision on who to fight with. To He
Yeah.
takes action. I like that. It's not he wasn't forced into it or coerced into it. He makes a decision. What? Now they don't always work, but that's also a nice touch since the wax cylinders were an actual recording device.
Yeah.
Of course, he didn't kill Mary. So I very much like that. When they early on, like, no, no person of stature got touched. Basically, only women and poor middle class working women and poor people, except Augie, and then maybe others. But the idea is that he's rich, but he doesn't fit in with rich. Like he has the money, but he doesn't have any standing. Everyone
Yeah.
thinks he's a joke, and clearly, by extension, if the spore affected him, he thinks he's a joke.
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the assumption based on what they said and what we've learned is that, let's say the spore fell on Masson, psychologically he knows who he is and he'll do terrible things to maintain the status quo. It's like the spore's like, no, no, not you. Augie knows who he is. He's there, but he doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Uh, I
I
do like
laughed
that they thought
because
about
yeah, he had
it.
that thought. He was like,
Yeah.
"What? Hmm."
Mhm. Yeah, so that's another one where they just jump right into it. Like, oh, did your sister do it? Then Annie's throwing fireballs, and then we meet a whole new character. I like the little, like, even though there's only a few minutes screen time, I like the relationship that developed between these two.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had to say it, we now have to remind you how she found out the. I do like that, Nimble's like, yeah, I'm not even involved in this, and I know someone's pulling some strings here. She drives off in a little
Yeah.
tricycle.
It's so pretty.
I keep looking at it, trying to figure out how it works. Like the practical prop that she's driving. I very much like this is a rematch from the pilot. Okay, look at that. Okay. Once again, we're talking about color. Color on the walls. Look at the color of the bottles.
Yep.
Like I said, this purplish reddish thing. I'm wondering where. I feel like nothing is by accident in this show. You know. Anyway, so like I said, so these two fight with words. I like this is a bit of a rematch from the pilot because if you look at the pilot, she lost that first match.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say, 'cause I'm retaking it all in. Look at that. Look at that look on her face. Mhm.
Yeah, great
Yeah,
scene.
very good. Yeah, it's
He didn't give up his sauce, and Lucy's like,
this is what I like about this, is that Annie's right too. It's very X-Men in that Xavier and Magneto are both right. You know, because they're like, oh, we shouldn't do anything, and Annie's like, yeah, we should absolutely do something.
mm.
Oh, here we go. Time for the duck blind. I think you guys talked about this way back at the episode review podcast, where you're like, did she get herself buried with Mary, then dug herself out?
Yeah, it's like at some point she was in there with her.
Hmm. Whoop. Open hand slap. The thing is, I can't believe Monday didn't question this.
Yeah.
Like, as I like, that was too easy. I do know we talked about this before. I do know his co-detective there in the blue jacket and brown vest. Um, we must keep some. I actually commented on one of the Nevers podcast tweets.
Oh,
This is
right.
going back. Yeah, this is going back several months now, but and yeah, this is so good. Like, oh, there's a little bit of Turkish, a little bit of German, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and this is good because, like you said, the whole thing, even before Madison said it, when they're just doing their discussions, like, okay, it's a hope is a big theme. Killing Mary is about them losing hope, and the intent is to make them fracture because, like the laborers, individually they're not strong. In numbers, they're strong. And that's a very good dichotomy between the scenes. And
I was gonna say,
whereas the labor, sorry,
just like the ants in Bug's Life, against
which I
the
still have, I,
grasshoppers, one
I
single
keep
ant,
forgetting,
but
I keep
a whole
forgetting to
lot of
watch that.
ants. Have you not seen it?
No, I haven't, but because of my very very pro labor views, I have a number of friends who keep saying I need to watch it. I keep forgetting. But yeah, the whereas at the factory, the laborers folded and followed Masson's rule, which is
Yeah.
clearly his intent with the death of Mary, but that's not going to happen because this group is stronger together.
I think
Oh,
the
is this what
problem
they have?
comes. Sorry, I was going to say the problem. Just talking about them as a stronger group than any of their rivals
Hmm.
is that they all have this inherent trust because
Yeah.
they're at the bottom at the minute and they're
Hmm.
trying to achieve a sense of balance, whereas everybody else is at the top and
Yeah.
there's less trust because it's all money and power,
Well, yeah.
and everybody will sell out each other and
Yeah.
not really trust. So like the people on the bottom have always got this trust and this camaraderie.
Hmm.
So I think they're always off to a better start in terms of like just versus each other.
Yeah. Agreed. Definitely agreed.
Especially once they get the rat out of the group.
Yeah. Although I'm sure we're going to see Lucy again. Like even when they were looking at IMDb, I do know that like I wasn't looking for it, but I do know that the actor did an Instagram post that kind of it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to be back on the show, but it was like, oh, maybe. Yeah, so we assume this is all bombs
Yep.
because of what we saw earlier. But true, it's like, well, maybe we'll check this out. 'Cause, I got a suspicion. But Lucy wouldn't know it's rocks in the. Well, I guess she would. I don't think he would have said it's rocks in the crate. He would have just had her lure them there.
He probably said he probably
Mhm.
did say when she told him he's gone,
Yeah.
well, I'll have to move everything to another factory.
Mhm.
So she was just panic, panic, panic. I like how she still tries to sell it as well.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, fuck. Mhm. But this is good because it's finally someone being like, this is a fucking curse. And they said they could fix me. I mean, like, it's a good scene, and you can't really. I mean, giving information is one thing. You're not responsible for what the people do with that information,
Mm.
even though it does make you complicit. But once again, like she said, she killed her own kid. She hasn't touched another person in 3 years. Like, Jesus Christ, can you blame her for wanting a way out? Mhm. That was said before. This is earlier. This is why cutaways are important. Cutaways tell you a lot, and then that's we're going to talk about the like. So there, she's doing this intentionally, but when she grabs the crate to get up, they show the cutaway of her grabbing the crate,
Yeah.
or yeah, like right there, like that.
Yeah, very intentionally.
Yeah,
It's almost because she's thinking more in that moment about her brooch that's important to her.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Her turn doesn't come out, which shows
yeah,
that she should be able to learn and concentrate and not
hmm
have it go. Or even there, she's holding that brooch. Do you know what
yeah.
I mean?
Despite her feelings, these people mean something to her. I do like this.
Mm.
When he gets the phone call, he's like, "Oh yeah, oh wait, what?" He's like, "No, it was a factory."
The initial, oh no.
Yeah. And then, oh. But they achieved Annie's objective, which was do something back, which means he should think twice before. Be if they were able to work that fast, he should think twice before acting again. And my God, this is another one so good. The double speak, because you think it's Malady talking to God, but it's girl to the toe essentially talking to Malady.
I like how that was like a little nod to, hey, sometimes I know the future as well. And
Mhm.
she did the pin so that she knew it would save her life.
Yeah. Are they eating French fries?
They're just chips, like ye olde London chips.
Okay,
Chips in newspaper. That's very English.
fair enough. Oh, look, I've never once in my mind thought, when were French fries chips invented? But clearly, prior to
Well,
1896.
other than like English fish and chips, they're like chunky,
Hmm. Yeah,
chunky chips. Yeah, French fries didn't become like super popular in England until, you know, I guess McDonald's
right.
kind of really took over.
In McDonald's. Fucking rake frock. I do like this because this is the first time that she shows emotion in front of her, like really shows emotion in front of everyone, anyone besides Penance,
Mm.
and I guess Horatio. I'm curious about the dark because there's clearly the time travel had to happen at a certain point for the butterfly effect to take action and prevent that terrible future that we will see.
Yeah. Ugh.
There we
So
go.
such a good. Yeah, I feel like we didn't speak that much that episode because we were just like
Yeah.
taking it in. Because there's so many, like this whole episode is full of just like these
Mhm.
interactions and these really like heavy conversations,
Yeah.
and it's like so well written that every character interaction with really good dialogue, you just kind of want to sit and take it all in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
like
it's like the same thing like I said before. Episode 1 and episode 6, I kind of know inside out. The middle, I'm a bit more foggy on because I haven't focused as much on them.
mm. I like how
So
this is an
yeah.
episode we get like loads and loads and loads of information. A little bit of it is just fed to us, but the majority of it is through these character interactions.
Hmm.
But we get a little bit of action as well in the factory, and yeah, it was a nice
Hmm.
episode. It was
Yeah. Well, and then we get the big setup for episode 5, and the thing I like about the next episode is like I like when the team has to split up to achieve their goals.
yeah, I like this is that episode where you're left and you're like, I need to know. I need
Yep.
to know. I need to know because that and
Hmm.
I remember breaking down like the whole little speech there.
Yep.
And I like how I really like how this show's written and the stories like gradually being dripped to us because it's like, oh, it's something about stripes. The way
Hmm.
they're translating it and trying to make sense of
Yeah.
some they're trying to make sense of some dialogue with no context,
Yeah.
right? Whereas Amalia knows the context, so and we don't yet know the context, so we're like something
Yeah.
about stripes. What's this? And then obviously we learn. So it's
Yeah. The metering out of information in the first 6 is really good. There's just little bits where they're and then but like I get it. there's a delicate balance between giving too much information and hiding the information so well no one even is aware that you told them something.
Yeah, it's.
No, it's great. I would say this I just something I was just thinking about that I would very much like it if people involved with the show would reach out to us more because we are simply put we are your best source for fan related Nevers content. Period. Period. So hey guys, reach out, help us out a little bit here.
Yeah, I was. The first three episodes of our conversations are up on YouTube, and the third one didn't go up till last week, I think. I was a bit lagging on that, but I'll put this one up quick. But they've got some views. We're doing all right.
Mhm.
I checked today because I was like, maybe there's some comments because it would be really nice for us to still have some comments and some thoughts from people. I know it's difficult for people to watch along live with us, but
Yeah,
we're doing it live so that if anyone wants to watch, obviously they can, but we're uploading it on YouTube so that people can watch at their own pace and their own time. And yeah, we'd love some questions and some like we said, the more you talk to fresh people about it, the more you kind of untwine it. And we've delved into it so deeply, but anything extra would be fantastic. We love discussing everything.
It is. It's just a shame that it would be really nice if this was on Amazon so we could actually show it rather than telling people to turn on your TV and watch along. But there is something people don't have to watch live because you could queue this up as just the audio track for the YouTube video and play it along afterwards. That like for example, Red Letter Media, they have a bunch of commentary tracks. You start it's not the movie, it's an audio commentary track, and then you play the movie and just there's a timing thing. Same thing with riff tracks. All their funny commentaries are. It's like you can buy it and then you time it to start at a certain when the movie starts.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's nice to be able to at least engage a little bit while we're all just friggin' waiting for the second half of the season. Anytime in the next what is August now? Anytime in the next 4 months would be nice.
I mean,
we want to try to squeak that into 2022.
before Christmas, please. But as we're approaching September, and new shows generally start September, October at latest, because they'll start in October. You want to start before Christmas. If you're going to go over Christmas, you want to do 3 episodes, and then you'd have the Christmas break, and then do the other 3 episodes. Or you try and start a bit early and get all 6 episodes out before Christmas. So, the time's going to be ticking away. But as I say, it's kind of worrying. I'm starting to worry because is it the latest Batgirl film?
Oh yeah, they shit can Batgirl.
Yeah. Completely filmed.
Yeah.
And they're in post-production, almost done with post-production, and then they can it, and you're like, what? Like you've done all the work, the thing exists, and no one's ever gonna see it.
Yeah. Well, they're same thing with Ezra Miller's Flash. Right now, all options are on the table, including canceling it.
Yeah. Because
Ezra's been personal issues that are very, very public, or
Is that I don't know a lot about the Batgirl movie, but is he attached to that as well? Is that what the issue is?
Well, no, it's just another piece in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, which means they cancel that, then Michael Keaton's out because Michael Keaton reprises his role as Batman in The Flash and Batgirl.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's weird. I mean, I look at the end of the day, I guess everyone got paid. If Warner Brothers wants to waste $90 million, then I guess that's on them.
Oh, it's unfortunate though, isn't it? If that's like your first big role
Yeah, $90
and
million dollars.
just poof.
Like, okay, so that's my question is, how bad is it?
This is what I'm saying, right? How much money did they spend on what's his name, Snyder's cut of
Mhm,
Justice League? How much money did they spend on that? A movie that already
mhm,
existed, and they're letting a director do another cut of it that's 4
mhm.
hours long. I understand that they had their new HBO. Is that on HBO Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like the new first thing to go on that kind of big
Mhm,
thing. But the amount of money that must have cost to put out that,
mhm.
and you've made an entire movie and you think it's such garbage that you're not even gonna let it, like you're not even gonna release it. It can't be that
Yeah,
bad.
it's
I saw a
it's
post
it's
from Kevin Smith, who has written, comics for
mhm.
DC, and he has directed a lot of the Supergirl episodes and stuff. He's very
Okay.
involved, and he's like really angry. It's
Mhm,
like how it can't be that bad. And I think the director attached just directed a couple episodes of Ms. Marvel. And he's
mhm,
like, that show, if it's anything as good as that show came out, sure, like, most people are trusting that this director can put out good
mhm.
content. I just don't understand. It's really, but then
Yeah.
it's made me worry because I'm like, wow, this Nevers has been filmed. They're in the post production at some
Mhm.
stage. We don't know because there's like no information about it whatsoever.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, either they're gonna just drop it, like, oh, starting next week, and
Mhm.
do hardly any kind of
Okay, well, okay.
press for
Yeah.
it.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. So that's the weird thing. So, okay, maybe Batgirl wasn't up to snuff, but why wouldn't you just then release it directly to HBO and skip the theaters?
Yes, just put it
Like
on the
if you
stream. If you're not confident, just put it on a streaming service.
yeah, it's not like you haven't made garbage before. Pardon me, the Whedon cut of uh Justice League, for example. Look at
it
the man aside, because we haven't even delved into that shit show. Whedon's cut of Justice League is effing stupid.
I never watched it because the trailer looked so awful. I hadn't watched Batman vs Superman. I did enjoy the first Superman that
So did I.
of
I
this
very much did.
no. So I was like, but I didn't. Yeah, I haven't watched Aquaman. None
Mhm.
of them have looked good to me on the trailer, so I just have not watched them.
Mhm.
So when Justice
Yeah,
League
well,
came out, I didn't watch it. I thought that looks terrible. So with
mhm.
the Snyder Cut, I've not watched that, but that looked awful. I'm like, why would I want 4 hours of the
I
same thing?
I will say this: we did watch the Snyder cut, and what doesn't feel like 4 hours, which I was surprised. The pacing is really good, and it tied up a lot of stuff from the previous movies. So certain things make sense now. Like, okay, this is way better than I expected. Because I was expecting a shit show. So watching, I'm like, oh, this is really good. It's nice to see what the entire vision was leading to. But I will say this: Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, is the best example of what these movies could be, how
Yeah.
good they could be.
So I've heard.
Aquaman,
Sorry, go on.
I say Aquaman is pretty good, but there's a subplot that if you took it out, it wouldn't affect the movie, and it actually makes some things stupider by having it in.
Right.
Um, but otherwise, it's a solid movie. Like it's just one of those things. Is like I know you set this up to pay off in future movies, but it doesn't fit here, and it's fucking stupid, and it doesn't make any sense.
I like how because I know since I did used to watch Flash the TV show on the CW
Oh my god,
way back
I
when.
never, I you go first.
I was gonna say I don't think I made it past season 2. Then they started playing around too much with time travel, and I kind of realized, oh, it's just like the same thing, and it's that level
Mhm,
of it's almost like a kids' TV show cartoon where every episode they're like, oh, here's a
mhm.
new villain, let's make a thing that we can do, and like the Flash just constantly gets his ass handed to him. Like, my brother's like, how can you watch that show? How many times? Every episode he gets punched in the face by someone. Tell me how, Laura. Tell me how does the Flash, the
How does
fastest
the
man
Flash
alive,
get fucking?
keep getting punched in the face? He just gets wiped out of fights so
Oh my
quickly. It's
I
like,
I'm with you. I tried to watch all of them. I
right.
watched some of the Flash, and I watched some of I look at. I was keen for Supergirl because I'm like, yes, we need more female-led TV shows. Which, by the way, Prey is fucking amazing.
I loved it
Um,
as well, yeah.
yeah, it's I didn't even know it was a Predator movie when we started watching it. Because if someone said that this is a Predator prequel, I would have been like, fuck that. But watching it, it's
It's a
so good.
good
Anyway,
movie in
yeah,
its own right, yeah.
exactly. Well, yeah, because the lead character's story stands on their own.
Yeah.
The Predator just guides the plot. Her story is her story. I'm like, fuck, that's so good. But yeah, Flash, Supergirl, Arrow, and I must have watched half a season of each. And I'm like, nope, nope, nope. These are all so stupid. There was one episode when it was a Flash episode because they got the team. I'm like, oh, super. The team is just what are you even doing? Like you're children, and you're acting like children. Um, but the guy in the wheelchair, like the team was discussing something, and then the guy in the wheelchair like shows up. He's like, I have the answer to that. I'm like, were you hiding around the corner, waiting for your moment to jump in? Ah, no, they're awful. They're so awful.
But everyone would like Grant Gustin, who plays Flash
Hmm.
on the show, to play Flash in the movies. They're like, why isn't he playing Flash? Like, give him a chance. Everyone loves him
Hmm.
as Flash. Um,
Hmm.
why not give him the chance in something that might be written and made decently?
Hmm.
Um, I don't know.
I will agree with that because I mean, if you have your DC extended universe, why would you have different actors? Like, unless you tell us it's the TV Flash is an alternate universe, then that's a different story. But if you don't tell us that, why do you have two different Flashes
It is
between?
strange that they spent so long. I mean, the first thing we would have watched would have been Smallville way back in the day,
Oh my
when Smallville
God.
was originally on TV. And then it was Arrow, because Arrow
Hmm.
played into and crossed with Smallville. Because I
Hmm.
feel like Arrow started before CW took over everything. Like,
Okay.
and I don't know what channel we used to watch it on in England, but it was just on
Oh,
like
okay.
channel 4 or 5 or something.
So it was network before CW picked it up.
Right. So Arrow
Okay.
had played into Smallville, I think, before,
Okay.
and then so once Smallville finished, because Smallville finished, Arrow was then like the only show to watch.
Hmm.
And Arrow, I feel at the time, I think was good. And then they brought
Hmm.
out Flash, and then Flash and Arrow started doing all their crossovers, and then they started that the one that's like the group of them, and it's got the guy from Doctor Who, um,
Legends.
Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah. Oh my days! I watched the first like episode, and I had a friend that was so into it, and he kept like sending me the episodes, and I'm like, no,
No.
I'm done. I'm sorry. After the first episode, I can't, because they're taking all of the B-listers from the already bad show. So so they're taking the you got the actors that are doing their absolute best and still doing an okay job even though the show sucks. And then you've got the actors at this level that are as
Hmm.
sucky as the show is. And now you've taken all those actors and you've put them in their own show, thinking that it's gonna, now there's no good actors in the show.
Oh
You've
my
made a
God.
show with no one good, and it's crazy. The writing's so bad that it's honestly
Oh my
not even
God.
about the actors. The writing's so cheesy. No one can do a good job. Even the guy from Doctor Who played Rory, whose real name I'm forgetting, because in
Oh,
Doctor
Rory's.
Who he is fantastic. He's a
Oh
great
yeah.
actor, but that show sucks so hard.
I that one I don't even I know anything about. I'm like, no, I'm done. But I will say this: I do have a caveat that if I had to rank them, Arrow would have been the best of the DC TV.
Arrow had its darkness and it had its
Hmm.
own vibe, Before, like I
Mm-hmm.
say, before Flash come around, they started doing all the crossovers, and it kind of joined the Cheeseverse. It had its
Mm-hmm.
own thing going, and Arrow was like a good show in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
And the main actor, yeah, it was good. But then it just kind of it's the CW have kind of like the Flash is still going, or it's on its last season now. Finally,
Yep.
like
Yep.
Supernatural went way too long, and you've got even like Supernatural, you've taken good actors because all the actors in Supernatural were good,
Mm-hmm.
but you've
Yeah.
eked it out for so long that I can't genuinely sit down and watch anything past
Oh
season
yeah.
5 without just feeling like this sucks. Like I can't. And I used to
I'm.
love Supernatural. I was such a hardcore Supernatural fan. So for
Mm-hmm.
me to stop watching it, I'm like, it's got to be bad, right?
I made it to the start of season 10, and then I nope right the fuck out of there.
I
Um,
think I
and
think we made
say
it to 7. I think we got to
yeah.
actually.
Oh, did you get the? Did you see that? Was it the season with the Leviathans and the Turducken?
Yeah, Leviathans, and then they did like the Mother of All. I
Yeah,
think I've spoken about this
yeah.
recently. Yeah,
We talked about it last time because there's like half a season of one bad guy, then a half season of another bad guy. Like, what are you doing?
they line up this Mother of All, and then halfway through the season, we're gonna get rid of her. She's not actually that bad. Like now we're talking about this guy. It's like, look, I could handle one bad guy a season. You know,
Hmm.
don't start chopping it even quicker. Like, but yeah, and then the other thing, going back to the Flash, is that when they do too much time travel, because then I feel like you don't respect my time as a viewer if you're just going to
Hmm.
keep going and retconning everything and
Yeah.
making it
Oh
almost
wait.
oh,
Yeah.
you've just
Oh
watched
wait.
4 years of television, you don't need to know about any of that anymore, we're just going to start again. And then they introduce so many characters because it's like there's nothing else that could save their TV show. They have to keep just popping up new
That's the
characters.
worst thing. Like more characters. More. We need more characters. More characters. More. It then turns into fucking Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, it is like that. It's like nothing can save you. Just stop. Please stop.
Hmm.
Just stop.
The
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
so
No. It's
so
yeah.
this was coming from my original comment of I'm worried, because I'm like, if something as big as a $90 million
Hmm.
Warner Brothers DC movie can be canned after it's basically done,
Hmm.
what if HBO, they've got their House of Dragons coming up and whatever other
Hmm.
shows? What if they just go, do you know what? We haven't actually got the space for the Nevers. Let's just because I would be devastated.
Yeah.
I'll be writing Minnie a letter.
Well, yeah, no. So, well, same thing. It's like you're basically done. Just finish it. Just finish
Yeah,
it.
please give us
Like,
give
well,
us
like,
the
like I said,
show.
like I said, how like Batgirl, how bad could it really be? Because
When
once again, you made Legends of Tomorrow. How bad could Batgirl be?
you let all this really bad, like that's actually terrible TV, and I get that that's the CW, but you're letting the CW put out all of these shows that are got your name on, and I don't know how involved they are, if it's like almost separate or if it is really heavy, still just DC production. I'm not sure how it works, but
Mhm.
you're letting all that go on TV because it's still making you money because there's still lots of people watching it. But you won't put
The
out a brand new movie, even though you can put it straight on HBO Max if you're worried about losing money in the cinema.
don't go to the
Put it on
cinema.
HBO Max, and you literally are not going to lose anything, apart from the extra 3 million to finish the post production. I guess I don't
Yeah,
know, which
yeah,
at this
because
point is pocket change.
you haven't done any marketing, so you've already saved those dollars. Anyway, it's so weird. It's so weird, but it's interesting because when we talk about this stuff, we even though this is ostensibly a never discussion, everything we talk about isn't is in reference to the Nevers. So we're like, here's the Nevers up here with good storytelling. Good, like everything about the storytelling side is almost perfectly bang on. And
Mm,
then you get these other shows that run for fucking 9 years, and you're like, what?
yeah,
How? The Orville's another one. Orville may not be coming back for season 4. There's no word on it right now, but it is quite simply one of the best science fiction shows out there right now. Um, the evolution of the show from the first season being kind of funny sci-fi, then second season being more serious, and then third season being like 10 movies in a row
Oh,
of
really?
really, really, yeah, they're like an hour and a half long.
I might have to give that a watch then because I know Sean's
Mhm.
parents watched the first season and I kind of saw
Mhm.
bits of episodes, but that
Mhm.
was like say right at the beginning when it was kind of just
Yeah,
a mock version of Star
yeah.
Trek essentially.
I, I would say go back and watch it because he does reference things from the first season and later seasons,
Right, okay.
so he's able to tie
Um
everything together. It's really, really good science fiction, like really, really good storytelling.
hmm,
And and I'm not going to say it's the best Star Trek out there right now because it's its own thing. But as far as science fiction goes and telling those kind of stories, it's blowing Star Trek out of the water. Like Strange New Worlds is good, but it's not deep. It's
right.
good, but it doesn't have the depth of storytelling that the Nevers, the Boys, the Orville, anything that has that really good core to it.
I think the thing for me with the Nevers is I like all the characters are like really well built and they're all
Yes.
there. They all seem to be there for a reason, and even when you just get little glimpses of them,
Hmm.
that no one's just thrown in because they're going to be the comedic
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
element, like
Exactly.
oh they're just there for a little bit of a laugh and we'll use them and then move on. It's like this really really cohesive like cast of characters and the storytelling as well. Like I say, I really enjoy the pacing, just the way it goes. leaves me um Leaves me happy enough that I've learned enough information to keep me happy, but also intrigued enough to carry on watching. That's
Yeah. What
my
was that?
nice balance of the show. And I think, like I said, I just watched Sandman, and that had that
Hmm.
same kind of thing. I was like, oh, that was a good episode, and they talk about so many things that I'm sure if you've read the graphic novels, you know exactly what they're talking about and what they're referencing. But if you haven't, like me,
Hmm. Same.
you're intrigued. You're like, oh, I like that little throwaway line. That must reference something that I'll find out about later. Oh,
Hmm.
intrigue. It's
The
and that
Clara Oswald, the Doctor Who's companion, is in it, isn't she?
yes, Jenna Coleman.
Coleman.
Okay, and these are my gripes with the Sandman.
Okay, go.
The the production value and the way it looks is like an American big budget TV show.
Okay.
However, a lot of it feels like a Doctor Who level British
Okay.
TV show. Some of the acting's down here. The main character, the main guy who's the actor that was in, it's called Rock the Boat. The boat that rocked years ago about the pirate radio. He's apparently the main guy in that, and I've never seen him in anything since. And here he is,
Okay.
fantastic. He steals the show. I mean, he's the main character, but
Hmm.
and then there's also other supporting characters, the librarian and like some of his brothers and sisters. The Corinthian who's like the bad guy. Really, 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 really great. Jenna Coleman, who I love and who I absolutely loved in Doctor Who,
Hmm. Hmm.
she's been told to do this like Cockney accent, and it's so off putting. I just can't. It's like the low level English acting that right. Oh, it really gets me. Really grates against me. It's why I don't watch much English television anymore. And that's another thing that like you watch the Nevers and it's all so natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Laura
would
Donnelly, with her British accent versus her actual Irish accent, that's a huge contrast.
And that's my thing is that like the Nevers is it's English,
Hmm.
yet it has that big American TV show vibe.
Right.
Whereas the Sandman mostly English characters, yet it has the Doctor Who English vibe. A lot of it doesn't. It looks there's some amazing scenes. It looks really great, but yeah, there are just little things that I'm just kind of like, mm. But and I
Mm.
watched it, and I often sat there thinking, the Nevers did
Okay.
that better.
The
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 Nevers did
moment
that
you said
better.
that they gave her a terrible accent, all I can think of is did you ever see the Futurama episode where they did the Star Trek and they had all the characters, but James Doohan had already died by that point, so they couldn't have Scotty come back to do his voice.
Okay.
So they had Welshie the stand-in, and you couldn't understand a thing he was saying. I mean, you can probably find the clip on YouTube. It's
Right.
maybe Welshy future.
It's just one of the things that frustrates me because, especially as Sandman seemed to, as you say, people were angry at, is it
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman? So people were angry at him because of any changes that he made, and because he was being too woke. I can't believe people
Oh
even say that still.
god.
Honestly, like anyway, we'll not start that conversation.
Oh my
Um,
god, that's it's like saying
so
Star Trek is too woke.
so any
Uh,
any changes he's made to his original
yep,
comic graphic novel that he created right out of his mind, um
yep.
any changes that he's made and people are angry about it, what angers me, not angers me, but annoys me with TV is when they make people have accents
Yeah.
and they're so bad and no one on production is like, hey, do you know what, maybe we should tell her to soften that a little bit. It's not imperative that she has, oh, all right, a proper Cockney accent, because it's so unnatural that it honestly, out of the entire TV show, and like I say, I was excited to see her in it because I really like her. Out of the entire TV show, she was the worst thing, and
Oh god,
that's the only
that
that's
sucks.
yeah, that was my major upset because the storyline involving her
Hmm.
was fantastic and I liked all that. But yeah, just
Well,
I'm just like, because it
that
doesn't matter at
actually
this point. Just let them speak however they act the best. Just
that actually leads me to talking about shows that we tuned out on. Doctor Who is one I tuned out on. I found it by accident in 2005 when it was first re-airing, and I
right,
fell
yeah,
in love with it. And by the time Peter Capaldi rolled around, I was starting to tune out, and they did not use him to the best of his abilities at all.
yep.
Um, and then they,
The
unceremoniously gave Clara the boot. I will say, Fred, whatever his companion got turned into a Cyberman. That season was good. Like his last season was really good.
yeah,
But I watched it, but I haven't come back for Jodie Whittaker, and not because I don't think that Jodie Whittaker can do a fantastic Doctor Hooks. Who gives a shit what gender they are?
yep.
Um, it's an alien who can change their form when they die. What's the problem? It's the
The
magic from
problem.
the first.
Sorry, go on, carry on.
I said that the magic from the first five new seasons. You had uh, Eccleston, Tennant, and Matt Smith.
Yep.
The magic of of those ones was kind of gone. It just felt like we were going through the motions. I'm like okay, when they brought back the Cybermen and they were turning dead bodies into cyber people, I'm like, that's not how Cybermen work. You need a living person to run the machinery. You can't just dig up dead bodies, otherwise they would just be robots. Anyway, so yeah, it lost a lot of the magic, and it was so disappointing because Capaldi is so good.
I really liked, obviously Epsom was great and it was like a new thing, so it's fantastic. And then David Tennant, absolutely fantastic. Everyone loves David
Mm-hmm.
Tennant. I don't think I've ever met a person that's like, David Tennant was crap as the Doctor. Like, no one's ever said
He
that.
was perfect, like absolutely perfect.
um, Matt Smith, I really liked from episode 1 with his little bow tie. I was like, I'm in. Yep, you've got me.
Mm-hmm.
And then uh, Peter Capaldi. Is Peter,
Like
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah,
I love him. I loved him.
yes,
Like I fell in love
yes.
with him instantly, and I was like, oh, he's a bit of a like darker, like grittier
Mm-hmm.
Doctor. I really like him, but I was like you. I was very upset with the writing and the material that he was given, and I never
Mm-hmm.
felt like he got to shine. And that was my major gripe watching
Mm-hmm.
Capaldi's run
Like
of Doctor Who.
like there's a handful of great Capaldi series episodes, but on the whole, they're not great.
Yeah, I think he could have had so much better stuff to work with.
And
Jodie Whittaker, similarly. Okay, so
mhm,
the showrunner and the writers and that completely changed. I think for Whittaker's run, it's Moffat and Gatiss,
okay,
and I don't think they do well together. I was speaking to Sean about this the other day. I was like, I feel like they both come up with like wacky ideas, and they're like, let's do this, let's do this, and I feel like they write
mhm.
something, and the other one's too scared to say, that's not that great. I feel like not they can't tell each other that's not that
Mhm.
great, so they just write and go, yeah, amazing, buddy, let's run with that.
Mhm. I,
Whereas the other writer that's coming back, whose name I've forgotten,
is it Russell
is
Davies is taking? He's taking over again, right?
yes, yeah,
Um,
was is
I mean,
much stronger.
yeah.
Yeah. So I watched the first. I can't remember if I watched 1 or 2 seasons of Jodie Whittaker.
Okay.
We don't have TV, so we don't watch it anymore because it's like you can only get it on like the BBC. So we just kind of
Right.
fallen out of it. But the last thing I watched, I don't know if it was the first or second season. I love her. She's fantastic. Again, great actress,
Mhm.
doing a fantastic job as a doctor. Um, but oh my days, was the entire show totally shown up by the actor. I'm sorry, because we're talking about not the Nevers. I don't know any of these actors'
Mhm.
names. He played the Master, and where the story went, it was like telling us that the Doctor, like the Doctor's real origins, and it was like this massive thing, and it was amazing. Everything, but like so the storyline was great, and I mean, his performance just
Mhm.
he stole the show so bad that it made everything else in the show look like garbage. Really, but yeah. So that, and then I haven't watched anymore. I need to kind of catch up because I'm kind of sad. I was like, oh, she's
Okay.
leaving.
So yeah,
But
so I've read a bunch, like I've read a bunch of stuff, and I've seen a bunch of complaints on YouTube of people like Jodie Whittaker's not a good doctor. I'm like, I can't speak to that because I haven't watched it, but if if her seasons or anything like Capaldi's, it was shitty writing, 100%.
yeah, and the I feel like they had good general ideas for stories. Like I say, the storyline,
Hmm.
generally okay, but just the dialogue and just this it's just shitty English TV. That's all it is. That's what I'm saying. I just kind of lose interest in it all. But yeah, I don't know. It was Jodie was great. I thought she was. I don't think her doctor had um as much depth to some of the other
Hmm.
doctors. But then thinking about it, I don't think a lot of them have. Like
Hmm.
really, when you really dig into it, I'd love to see a doctor that's like just locks themselves in the TARDIS because they're done.
Hmm.
They're like they lose their companion again and they're just like
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm locking myself away. I don't care if the universe needs me. Screw it.
Hmm.
I'm not doing it anymore. Why should I have to be this all
I
saving person that doesn't have to deal with my grief and just move on to the next thing? Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
I will say that Tennant's last season, like the 4 episode season, was similar. He didn't lock himself away, but he's like, "Fuck this! I'm the last of the Time Lords. I'm in control here." And he kind of he goes off and realizes why he needs a companion. I really
Right, yeah.
that was really good. I will say that Capaldi's Doctor did have more character arc than the rest of them. But yeah, it was still like overall just kind of a C minus.
Yeah, because Capaldi got to deal with the whole River Song thing. And we finally got to
Yeah,
see like their
yeah.
relationship, but I feel like it still wasn't done as well as I would have liked. I didn't feel very
Well, that's such a hard one, once again, that's something you can blame on the writers because however you wrap it up will never be as good as any of us think it should be because we all
no.
have our own imagining because of how you set it up. It's like you're never going to be able to write it as good as we think it should be because we all have our own
Yeah.
impression of what it should be. You
Yeah,
kind
you're
of
right
wrote
there.
you kind of wrote yourself into a corner.
Yeah, you've given us these amazing characters where we know their story's not going to end well because we know we've got it's already written. There's nothing you
Hmm.
can do. And yeah.
Although I will say, Strange New Worlds did a really good job with that, because with that, the whole thing is it's 10 years before the original series, and we know that Captain Pike has a terrible accident at the beginning of the original series. The whole first season is him coming to terms with that and
Hmm.
accepting that he can't get out of it. He just got to live his life and deal with it. And so it was actually handled really well, surprisingly well,
That's funny.
because we know how his story ends, but there's still a lot of stuff to tell in between.
Hmm. So are you saying that like him having to handle that he can't change it just made me think we rewatched the like 2001 version of The Time Machine with Guy Pearce.
Oh, I love that one so much.
I absolutely loved it when I was younger. I went to see it at cinema
Mhm.
and then I used to watch it all the time, but I had not seen it
Mhm.
probably for like 15 years and we sat and watched it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's still all right. Still a good film. We enjoyed it.
It's
There's a lot
yeah,
of
it's
there's some plot holes, but it's fine.
yeah,
We look
yeah.
past
Overall,
that.
solid. There's so much setup that the end happens really quickly. Like the Morlocks attack, there's like bang, 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 story over.
Yeah. I have to say in my head, yeah, the story didn't go as I remembered it, the
Hmm.
way that it's paced and everything. Which is funny, talking about pacing. Have you watched Disney's classic Sleeping Beauty?
Not since I was a child.
So I remember watching it when I was like really little, and then when I was
Yeah.
like, I think a late teenager, I watched it.
Hmm.
I think obviously the older films are very short, but man, that movie's fast paced. I was like,
Oh yeah.
whoa! Like the thing happens at the beginning, then she goes off to live in the woods, then she meets this guy, then it happens. Oh, there's a big fight at the end. Oh, at the end. Okay, great. I was literally like, it moves so quickly. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but I feel like I don't need to now because in my head I'm like, it's so
Hmm.
short and fast paced. Boom, 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 boom. But I'm sure it's a great film. Sleep Beauty,
Yeah.
classic. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
that just
been yeah. I would not hesitate. It's been 35 years since I've seen it.
it's yeah, it just when I think about fast paced movies, that's what I think about. Um Also I went to see Get Out at the cinema
I haven't
last
seen it
week.
yet.
Oh, okay. So I've not seen Us and Nope's
I
coming
I
out or is out.
I I have seen Us.
Okay. So I had watched Get Out when it came out on DVD, however many years ago, but it's been re-released at cinema, ready for Nope.
Okay.
Went and upon watching it again, yeah, again I remembered all the story and what was happening, but not how it all kind of
Okay.
went. So it was an enjoyable experience actually watching it again. And my
It is.
days on the cinema screen was that jumpy. Like I remember the jump moments when I watched it at home, but oh wow, in
Mhm.
cinema, I almost jumped out my seat, even though I've seen it and I knew the jump scare moments were coming. I still very, very, very jumped. But yeah, no, you should. Yeah, you should watch it. It's a good. I mean, if you're into like thrillery,
Yeah, no, it's
suspenseful
one of those I keep
movies.
much like A Bug's Life. I keep meaning to watch it, but then I forget. And then when I was sitting in front of the TV, I'm like, I know there are things I wanted to watch.
I mean, if it's between Get Out or A Bug's Life for sure
Mm-hmm.
is A Bug's Life is like a perfect movie. It's so good. It's really funny, but the characters and the story is just so good. Um, Absolute classic, one of my favorites.
Hmm.
I have a signed copy from Hayden
Oh, nice.
Panettiere. I'm sure
Okay.
I'm saying her name wrong, but you know, Claire from Heroes. She was at a
Right.
Comic Con
Yeah.
that we was going to, and I was like, she voices Dot, the little ant in A Bug's Life
Hmm.
when she was like 7 or 8, I guess.
Hmm.
So I went up to her with this DVD, and she was like, "Wow!" She's like, "I've not seen one of those in a while." A Bug's
The she was very good in the fourth Scream movie, whatever one it was. She was in one of the Scream movies, and she was very good at it.
Jack will know all about the Scream movies. Jack just came in.
Mhm.
A Bug's Life knew they put Kevin in the villain role. Kevin Spacey. I forgot his name.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, because he plays Hopper, the villain. Uh, but yeah, we won't talk about that. I find that it's getting harder and harder, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter what we talk about. There's someone. Honestly, can
Yeah.
people just stop being bad people, please?
Yeah,
So that
just stop being garbage,
just stop
please.
it.
There was, oh yeah, because Fred Savage was just like fired from his job on the Wonder Years.
I'm gonna pretend I know
And
anything of what you just said.
okay, so Fred Savage is an actor. When he was a kid, he was in the Wonder Years, a show about growing up in the '60s.
Okay.
Now he's executive producing, or was executive producing, the new show, which takes place in present day or the '90s, or I don't even know because I don't keep track. Anyway, Fred Savage has been making movies and TV for 30, 30 years. Um, but and he did a lot of directing in the kind of the interim years. But yeah, he got apparently he got fired and just said I didn't read too much about it, but some like hostile work environment. Like stop being shitty. Just stop. Just just do your job and don't be a dick.
Do your job and don't be a dick. I like that advice. Jack, I see. I don't know who any of these people are. Chris D'Elia from something called You, and it turned out that he was all too close to his character. Apparently, Jack
Oh
says.
wow. I never watched You, so I don't know, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's yeah. Stop being dicks. That's what we're saying. So about every film and TV show we talk about, we have to like be like, oh,
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah.
person. We won't mention them. Let's just
But
let's just...
look at let's also be clear. It's not just that. It is routinely men being shitty. Like there are female actors and producers and people on staff who are shitty too, but pretty consistently it seems to be a white man problem.
Jack's just clarifying who this guy is. So we watched Army of the Dead, which is 2 hours and 40 minutes of my life. I'll never get back.
2 hours and 40 minutes?
Was it that long? I remember it being really
Jesus.
long. It was long. I remember it being really long. My friend Jack and I were like, "Oh, a fun army, like zombie movie on Netflix. Let's just watch it, you know." And we never watch films together. We once watched
Right.
Batman Forever, and I fell asleep. And we've watched all of Dollhouse season 1 in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Other than
Right.
that, Jack and I generally do not watch films together. And we
Mm-hmm.
actually sat down and was like, let's watch this film. So we watched Army of the Dead. We basically talked the whole way through it because it was so terrible. We were just doing like a live commentary on how awful it was whilst we
How
were
awful.
watching it. And it just wouldn't end. The stories in it are just
Oh
stupid.
my God.
And then at the end of the movie, they basically announced straight away that they're making a prequel movie or TV show
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
before they even know whether it was good or not.
A friend of mine watched it. He's like, that's great. I'm like, well, I guess
Don't.
you're entitled to your opinion.
Everyone online is like, oh, it's just a fun no-think zombie movie. And it's like, no. Because it wasn't a fun no-think zombie movie. That's what we thought we were watching. That's what we thought. We were sitting down for a no-thinking zombie slasher. It's fun. It's in Vegas. This is just going to be a nice, we'll relax and watch this movie and not think about it. But they put so much writing, like terrible writing and plot in there for all this stuff underneath, putting all these characters in with all these backstories. We don't care. We don't care. Like, all these backstories and things to try and make us care when they're going to die and all this stuff. And we're just like, no. The trailer looked like this was a fun zombie movie and that was it. I feel like we've been robbed and...
Oh my God,
yeah.
there's nothing worse than lying trailers.
Honestly, I was just like, yeah, my worst experience, because it was the one time I actually sat down to watch a new film, and now I just don't. I just put Netflix on, and I'm like, no, I'm not even gonna, I'm not gonna watch it. No, I don't trust anything. I don't trust it. But
yeah, it's awful.
Anyway.
We should probably wrap up because we're getting
I was
close
just
to
gonna
2
say,
hours here now, and it's getting later for you than it is for me. Actually, I still got daylight. So
You still got daylight. It is dark here. Yeah. So, but all of these topics bring us back to the fact that the Nevers is fantastic, and
well, yeah, like it's a comparison of like, hey, here's you can do it right. You can do it right. You can have compelling storylines and compelling characters where everyone has something to do. No one's just thrown in for the sake of thrown in. Star Trek. Um, Discovery, in particular, Discovery is fucking terrible for that. Anyway, the Nevers leads us to these conversation topics because we talk about, we saw something that's really good. There's other stuff that's really good, but there's a lot of stuff that's not really good.
yeah, for me, it's like in this current time of so much content and 80 to 90% of it being terrible. Like, and again, we don't get paid to talk about the Nevers or to plug it or anything.
Yeah, no,
My
we're just
opinion is
fans.
generally that like the Nevers is the best show that I've watched in like the since it's been out pretty much. I don't think other than anime, which I love like more than anything. There's nothing that I've watched and gone, oh yeah, that was actually genuinely great and
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And it makes my opinion of like most stuff coming out being trash kind of valid. And it's not even the fact that I'm like watching something and going, oh, that was terrible. It's my disappointment that so much stuff is being made bad when it could be good. And
Yeah.
like that, the Batgirl thing, 90 million. How can you spend 90 million and still think you've made a terrible movie? I'd love even 10 grand and give me 10 grand and I'll go and make you a good movie. Honestly, like, do you know what I mean? Just,
Oh, absolutely.
just frustrates me.
It's so weird. Like, but you're talking about rich people talking about dealing with money. It's not nothing we're ever going to experience. Like $90 million, if it's a write off, who cares? But anyway, so we'll be back next week, and we're going to talk about episode 5 of the Nevers. Maybe we'll stay on topic. Maybe we won't. Tune in to find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. But thank you as ever, Jason, and
Thank you, Laura.
we will
Always good to chat.
yeah. Bye bye, the Nevers people, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.